Hi, and welcome back to the Stepping into Purpose podcast. Today, we're continuing our conversation with Kristina Driscoll, host of the She's Brave podcast. In part one, we talked about managing anxiety, regulating your nervous system, and stepping into purpose with courage and authenticity. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, I recommend going back and listening to that one first. In part two, we dive even deeper, exploring how modern life impacts anxiety, the power of nature in calming the nervous system, and why true fulfillment comes from living in alignment rather than chasing external successes. We also talk about the midlife awakening that so many women experience and the importance of lifting each other up. Let's get back into it.
And so, if you're one of those people who is in fight or flight mode and you feel like, wow, Kristina, there's no way I could even take a podcasting course. Are you kidding me? That's okay. So what you're working on is getting out of fight or flight mode. It might take a month or 2 months or even a year. And you're going to do things like working on your breath work, catching your thoughts, going outside for 5 or 10 minutes, starting tiny, starting out with writing down 3 things that you're grateful for when you wake up in the morning. That's it. Sitting still and trying to meditate for 3 minutes. That's all I'm asking people. Not very much. Okay. And even when you do start increasing the amount of time that you meditate, not beating yourself up on the days that you don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
Same thing with exercise. Okay. Maybe it's just a 5-minute down the block and back. 3 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Okay.
Just gonna move.
Guess what? Here's another really weird, cool hack I recently heard about. So in the animal kingdom, when birds are singing, they will only sing when they feel safe. If they think there's a predator around, they stop singing because, they don't want to get eaten, right?
Yeah.
So we have it in us as humans as well. If we listen to birds singing for 7 minutes, our nervous system starts to calm down.
Wow, that's
Isn't
cool,
that
isn't it?
wild? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like even doing things like I when I was a kid, and I need to get back into this, I loved doing crafts.
Yeah.
And it's very calming because I think like basically what it is, and a guest I interviewed said, well, think about it, like when you're painting or you're drawing or you're doing crafts or you're doing a puzzle, your brain is basically saying, everything's good, everything's okay.
I'm
Like
safe.
all is well in the world because I'm not dashing around. I'm not trying to get things done. So everything must be okay. That's what
Yeah.
your brain is literally unconsciously telling you when you're doing
Makes
like a
sense.
craft or something, right?
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
And then of course we did go over the really big one, which is pay attention to the company that you keep.
Yeah.
And
Massive.
as far as, being brave and doing brave things, maybe the bravest thing that you can do right now is to learn how to get yourself out of fight or flight.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it, and maybe that's going to take a year or two. That's okay.
Listening to your
Okay.
body, isn't it, really? And that's a big part of it, is listening to your body. I spent a lot of time in fight and flight. Well, actually, it was more freeze growing up. I was in freeze
Yeah, there's
a
4
lot.
of them: fight,
Yeah.
flight, freeze, and fawn.
Fawn,
So
yeah.
I should correct there. It can be those
Yeah.
4 things.
Yes.
There,
And
none
fawn
of
is
them
people
are.
pleasing, isn't it? It's
Fawning is people
yeah,
pleasing. Yes.
appeasing your
Yep.
possible, provoker. And it does take a toll. I wound up with chronic fatigue syndrome in my early adulthood as well. And that does happen from dysregulation. But yeah, so
Yeah.
my job at that time was just listening to my body, and tuning in. And
So good.
many people might be
Yeah.
in that stage where you just have to tune into your body and really that's your main job.
And
And
that's
then,
okay. I think as long as we're trying and we're growing, then we're winning, and
yeah,
we're okay no matter where we are in life. Like if you're in that space right now, that's totally okay. You
yeah,
can work on getting out of it, and it's a long, hard process.
yeah,
It's literally reprogramming your brain. Like you're
yeah,
working on reprogramming your brain. And
massive.
so I'm going to leave you guys with a couple of other little hacks. Now,
Yes.
I used to be like, "Oh my gosh, I don't like this word. It sounds so woo-woo," mantras, like where you're just like repeating a phrase. And I'm like, well, You don't have to even believe in a higher power. You don't even have to believe that. There is scientific evidence that if you say a phrase
Mm.
over and over and over again, it will rewire your brain. It's
Wow.
that simple. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I did a whole solo episode on this recently where I won't go into all of it, but I'll tell you one incident where I had found a lump in my breast and had to go back, got a call back. And there's a Christian oriented called Unity Church. It's Christian, and Maya Angelou was actually a member of their church. They have a prayer hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You
Wow.
can call them and they will give you, they'll pray with you, but they'll also give you mantra. And I'll give you guys my favorite one. And the one that she gave me that day was every cell of my body is filled with light. So if you're dealing
Wow.
with health issues or you're worried about your health, or you're worried about, that I'm anxious all the time, that I have an anxiety disorder, every cell of my body is filled with light. So she gave that to me. And then, I went back to the doctor and they were like, oh yeah, it's definitely a cyst. And
Wow.
but that's one that I do in the morning right now. So
I
I'll
love
say that
that.
about 20 times, or even
Mm.
during the day, if my body is like tensing up in
Mm.
my head, like I might say it 10 times repetitively. And I just imagine like energy, light flooding through
Mm.
me. Every cell of my body is filled with light. Another really good one for people with anxiety is from Louise Hay. She's
Mm.
passed on now, but I heard her interviewed 20 years ago and
Wow.
on the radio. And she said her favorite mantra was all is well. Everything is working out for my highest good. Out of this experience, only good will come, and I am safe. And I think
Mm.
that's also a really good one for those of us who have anxiety.
I am
Yeah.
safe, that's
Yeah,
really
I am
so
safe. It's
I'm
big.
safe.
It's
It's
big.
big. That's
Yeah.
because that's what anxiety is really, isn't it? It's not
Right.
feeling safe.
Right.
And I did
Yeah.
hear also that just naming an emotion, like I'm feeling fear or anxiety or something, that actually works to calm down the amygdala as well. That sort of ancient part of our brain, which it puts us in fight or flight. Just even naming what you're feeling can help you calm
Which was
as
me
well.
this morning.
Yeah.
I was like telling my husband, "Hey, like I really need to talk to you." And I was telling him about all these things that I was
Yep.
handling and things that are
Yeah.
going on, and I was feeling like kind of overwhelmed. And then by the time I talked it out, I was like, "Okay, I'm good now."
Yep, getting it out of your system, and then you can see it's not that much. I can
It's
manage
really
it. Yeah.
not. I know.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
these are
Yeah.
such amazing tips and so important. And we're so lucky now, I think, in this current time when these tools are needed so much that there is a real awareness about it and that they're being shared. And this past year, I've really dove in deep and really used a lot of these tools and they've helped me so much. So I'm so glad that they're out there. But see, all these things are simple and you can do them easily, but it's just curating, like you've curated your Instagram feed. It's curating your life to put yourself in the best position, isn't it?
Yeah, and it takes a while to create habits. Like I
Yeah.
also interviewed someone else fairly recently who said, "Oh, that whole thing of it takes 21 days to create a habit, that's a myth. That is not true. It totally varies. Depends on it depends on the person, it depends on the habit, it depends on a million things.
Yeah.
It could take a year to
Yeah.
really change a habit. I mean, it
Yeah.
can take a long time. And so
Yeah.
be gentle on yourself. You'll kind of go back and forth for a while, you know?
Yeah. I mean, habit stacking is my favorite thing, just adding something
Ooh.
on to something that you do already. Like
Ooh.
in the morning, I'll do my yoga, just about 15 minutes, my yoga, and then I stack on other things, so a little bit of meditation. At the moment, I'm doing a manifesting challenge with Gabby Bernstein, actually, which is just,
Ooh, she's fabulous.
yeah, I love her. Her new book, Self Help. I've just received it in the mail, and I can't wait to dive into it. It's
Oh,
going to
I
be
didn't
really
even know
good.
she has a new book out. Great.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
It's really about IFS. Have you heard of internal family systems, which clicks all back into this sort of work, about releasing limiting beliefs. And yeah, check out her new book. I think it's going to be a really big one, which helps a lot of people. But anyway, I'm doing her manifesting challenge, and So for the first few days, I hadn't slotted it into anywhere in my day. So, it's like the last thing before I went to bed or something. So I've just slotted that in after my meditation. And, when you do that, when you stack things,
I like
it really
that.
does mean that they get done. Yeah.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
a great hack.
brush your teeth in the morning, then you add something else into that, yeah, that's
Right.
a really good one. So just before we wind up, I'd love to ask you, of course, this podcast is called Step Into Purpose, and you're someone who has really done that and demonstrating it in such a beautiful way. But what does Step Into Purpose really mean to you?
Stepping into purpose to me means living my life courageously. So, this was another game changer for me when I took the podcasting class. One of the most powerful exercises I've done in my life. We were asked to reach out to 5 people who know us very well and ask them how they see us. Like, what do they see? What are our greatest strengths? And the same answer kept coming back to me over and over again, Lydia. People kept saying to me, "You're so resilient. You're so brave. And you're so authentic. You live your life according to your own standards, and you don't care what other people think, even if you live it unconventionally." Because, for example, my husband, who passed away, was 24 years older than me. I've lived a very unconventional life. We didn't get into that today. But what I realized was that many women out in the world are not living authentically themselves. They are trying to, because, we go on the phone and social media tells us what success should look like. It should look like a Mercedes Benz, a big house, a happy family of 4 or 5, a dog, vacations. Okay. But guess what? That's not necessarily, or, maybe it looks like, for example, I went to a retreat actually with a big name podcaster, and she had us, like if you had like your dream life, like what would it look like? And those were the kinds of answers that were coming out. And I have this many millions of dollars, and I was like, I just want to do more of what I've done already, which is I actually built a cat rescue shelter, and I built it. I paid for the whole thing. I funded it for FIV cats. And the US Humane Society Western Regional guy came out, and they used to put down FIV cats because they thought that they would get sick and die. And now they're finding they can live a long time. And so I changed the whole Humane Society in America with their policy of, handling cats who have FIV, which is just the cat version of HIV.
Yeah. Well,
So
I've lost a cat to that as well. Actually, we've lost a couple of cats to that. Yes, we have.
Really?
They died sort of naturally from it. But yeah, I can imagine that they do put them down.
Some of them can live like really, really long lives, So my answer was, doing more animal rescue.
Yes. You're changing. I mean, who cares about a Mercedes Benz? I mean, it's a nice to have if it happens.
I think that a lot of us are like, we see it and then we think, okay, so how success looks is an expensive car and vacations and lots of money in the bank. And so that's, that's who I am. Like, that's what I want. When actually that's not really what they want. That's why we see so many famous, wealthy, successful people who are so unhappy. They're getting divorces. They're committing suicide because I don't think they're really being authentic to themselves. They're not living, whenever I make a decision, I think a lot of women make their decisions and they base it on what are the next door neighbors, the Joneses, going to think about me making this particular decision? Are they just going to think it's a bad decision?
Yeah.
And then they make a decision based on what other people's opinions are. This is what we do as women. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't do that. And maybe it was through the journey of my husband's illness. And I guess I did a lot of spiritual study in my 20s as well. And then I think that was the beginning of it because I started living, just doing what was best for me, doing what was best for my son, not necessarily what society says you should be doing. Society says you should not marry somebody who's 24 years older than you, and I was shocked, Lydia, and I was appalled that people were telling me, these were people I loved, were
Mm.
basically telling me that they're not living authentically. They don't.
Wow.
And I said, what, how can I change that?
Mm.
And it takes courage
It
to live
does.
authentically,
We've
right?
really been sold a lie, haven't we? And like you
Mhm.
say, the celebrities, I've been so fascinated by that. And Jim Carrey's been someone who's spoken a lot about this. He was so determined to get to that stardom, and then he got there, and it's like, what this? And I think so
Yeah.
many people have gone that. And he's really talked a lot about it. That does not equal happiness. I've seen pictures. Actually, I saw a video of Britney Spears. I mean, this was sort of 15, 20 years ago when she was really at the height. But, she was trying to walk down the street, and just the amount of paparazzi and people around her, and, they can't get into their cars. And what sort of life is that? Really,
Yeah.
what sort of
Yeah.
life is that? So, yeah, we've really been
Yeah.
sold a lie.
Yeah. And I mean, when I started podcasting,
Mm.
I thought I was going to do podcasts on caregiving because I feel like there needs to be more support out there, but it felt really heavy.
Yeah.
And it would require me to live so much in my past. And if you live too much in your
Yes.
past, you're depressed. If you live too much in the future, you're anxious. So
Yeah.
therefore, we try to live in the now. And after these 5 people came to me, I said, I have to do a podcast to help women to have the courage to live their best authentic lives. And that's how She's Brave was born.
Wow. That's what's needed, That's so what's needed.
Yeah, and to not be so worried about numbers and, how many people am I impacting and how much, exposure do I have and da 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 da. You know what the
Yeah.
best feeling in the world is when somebody in my little town came up to me and said, I listened to Aaron Ramsey's episode, which was like a year and a half ago, and she said it changed my life.
Wow. See, one
You
person,
know?
that's all you need. Well,
And
well
that's what you're
done.
doing too,
Yeah. Yeah.
People listen to you and it changes their life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all we can do. We just share our truth. And at the same time, it helps us get stronger with our voice, and it gives us a vehicle to be authentic as
And if you're
well.
feeling like you don't know who the heck you are, like we didn't either. Me and Lydia, we started out like, yeah, because same thing, like we're raising kids and working and, and then all of a sudden, like it does happen. Like in your 40s and 50s, women have this reckoning. And if you don't do anything about it, you will be pretty unhappy.
So,
You have to go on that soul searching journey. You do have to do it.
because our purpose is here for a reason, this is our
Yep.
our life's mission, and while we will have different purposes at different times, like raising our children might be our sole purpose for a little while, and that's such an important job as well. But now's the time.
Right. And I felt that way. I
Yeah.
mean, I was a financial advisor and I had infertility, and then I thought I'd be a working mom. And then basically, I just wanted to be a mother. Like everything changed. But I'm just that go with the flow. Like if
Yeah.
this is how I feel, and I felt like my mission is to be a mother, like for these
Yes.
years. And
Me
I
too.
did not apologize for it. I was just like, I
No.
know other women like prefer working, and we need to learn how to. I am getting really good at this, Lydia. I compliment women all the time. You know
Good.
what? I have a little side job that I do, and I work at an athletic club, and I compliment women all the time. And their faces light up, and they are
Yeah.
so freaking happy
Yeah.
because we need to lift each other up.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need to encourage each other. Then
See,
what?
they feel seen, It's all we want, isn't it? To feel seen and
Yep,
acknowledged.
to feel seen, and maybe they have incredible hair, or maybe they have this incredible outfit on, or maybe their nails look beautiful, or maybe they just have a glow about them. I
Yeah.
literally told a woman that the other day. I said, the first time I saw you, you just glow. And
Wow.
she's 58 and she's incredible. And I just was like, I made her day. Why can't we need to do more of that? We
We
need to
really do.
support each other.
Yeah, yeah. And with that, you're changing lives one day at a time as well, one person at a time. So that's amazing. This is our purpose. It doesn't really matter what we're doing, but
Yep.
it's how we're making people feel, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, it's been such an amazing treat to connect with you and to hear all your wisdom. Please let us know where we can find you. We will have the links in the show notes
Perfect.
connecting to
Yeah.
So we'll have you on Instagram, your podcast, and is there
Yeah.
anywhere else people can find you?
Yeah. So my podcast is She's Brave with Kristina Driscoll, mainly on Apple, Spotify, but I'm on iHeartRadio and like 9 other places I don't even really can't recall, but I'm in a lot of places. And then my website is www.shesbravepodcast.com. And there I have taught a couple of podcasting classes on how to get into the top 2.5% in 6 months. Kind of on hiatus with that. It's a lot of energy to do that. But I do some coaching. I do one-on-one. So you can check out my website, see and sign up for private coaching with me one-on-one. So there's that. And then Instagram, I've got a big following there at She's Brave Podcast. I don't really use Facebook or LinkedIn. So it's mainly Instagram I've chosen. So yeah.
Yep. No, that's amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all you do in the world and lifting people up one person at a time. I mean, what an amazing, legacy to be leaving. So,
Oh,
thanks.
thank you, Lydia. You are such a bright, shining star. And I'm so happy to be here and connect with you. And let's keep in touch.
Absolutely. Wasn't that so good? I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Kristina as much as I did. Here are the takeaways. Number 1, the rise of technology and social media has significantly added to increased anxiety levels, especially among the younger generation. Number 2, the loss of real-life in-person connection has made it harder for people to regulate their nervous systems, as co-regulation, feeling safe with others, is a key part of emotional well-being. Number 3, spending time in nature is one of the most effective ways to calm the nervous system. Hearing birdsong, feeling fresh air, and being in natural surroundings signals safety to the brain. Number 4, true fulfillment comes from purpose, impact, and authenticity, not just material success or external achievements. Number 5, many successful people still feel unfulfilled because they are chasing external validation rather than internal alignment. Number 6, many women in their 40s and 50s experience a shift where they begin to rediscover themselves and their purpose. Number 7, encouraging, seeing, and uplifting other women creates a ripple effect of confidence, courage, and connection. Number 8, self-worth is built through a sense of safety, not by forcing confidence or trying to fix insecurities. And number 9, regulating the nervous system is the foundation of healing and transformation. When the body feels safe, true confidence and growth can emerge naturally. Thank you so much for listening. Please share this episode with someone you think might benefit from it, and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes. If you suffer from anxiety or low self-worth, check out my free mini course, Thrive with Self-Worth, and I'll leave the link to that in the show notes below. Thank you again for joining me, and we'll see you next week.